Oh my God, dude, the ending of the story is so insane, but yeah, okay. We are back with Dark Crisis, guys. The ending of the story is so amazing. All right, let's just get into it, right? So, in the last video, we basically covered what was in effect all the different members of the Justice League being rescued from their universal prisons, right? Where they were basically being held. But unlike Batman or even Barry Allen, who had kind of succumbed to their prison and sort of adapted to it and then ultimately believed that was their reality, Superman hadn't done that. And in fact, Superman had absorbed basically all the energy in his universe and become cosmic Superman, right? Just this god level Superman, which was amazing. So the way that story ended, right? The way the last video ended, we basically had what was in effect the Dark Army, right? Like the most powerful beings in the DC universe, all of whom were under control of Pariah and the Great Darkness, making their move against what's left of the superhero community. And this is a colossal battle. It's one of the coolest things, right? Literally, Darkseid, the Spectre, right? The representation of God's vengeance or wrath or whatever in the hell role he happens to play at this point in time in DC. It shifts all the time, but like the whole thing's nuts, right? So here's the thing. What this does here is it switches over to the Justice League because remember, they're still in the realm of Pariah, right? They're still kind of outside the existing multiverse as it functions right now. But one of the things to remember, Pariah brought back the original multiverse. Now, this is where I want to take a moment. I want to answer some questions because admittedly, the story doesn't do a great job of answering a lot of these things in a concise way. And a lot of you guys have asked questions like, okay, what's going on with the multiverse now? How does this work? What's the deal with Pariah? Why did he need the superhero? So on and so forth. So to answer these questions, when it comes to Pariah, he is basically a guy who originates from the original multiverse in DC Comics, the one that was introduced in the Flash of Two Worlds storyline back in the 1960s, and the one that was destroyed during the original Crisis on Infinite Earths in the 1980s. Now, remember our discussion where we talked in previous videos about the nature of the Crisis events, that Crisis on Infinite Earths destroyed the multiverse, Infinite Crisis brought the multiverse back, and Final Crisis made the superheroes aware of the multiverse's return. That's still the case here, right? That's still intact. While DC Comics decides to invert it, what we can do is we can call the original multiverse that existed before Crisis on Infinite Earths, we can call that Multiverse 1. Infinite Crisis brought the multiverse back, but it was a different version. So we can call that Multiverse 2.0. Right, Multiverse 2. And so when it came to Pariah, because of the fact that his desire to see the origination of everything, right, how it all came into existence, because that had accidentally unleashed the Anti-Monitor, which led to Crisis on Infinite Earths, that Pariah's punishment for that action was to watch the Anti-Monitor destroy his home world, as well as various universes across the multiverse, in order to basically stop the Anti-Monitor and to do what he believed would be ending his curse. Pariah had assembled the different superheroes from across the multiverse and the original Crisis on Infinite Earths event, which led to the defeat of the Anti-Monitor. The problem with this is that Pariah's punishment remained, and so he very much became like the Watcher from Marvel Comics, where he sort of existed out there and watched as things unfold. When the Infinite Crisis event happened and the multiverse came back, Pariah was excited at the idea that like his universe could return. The problem is that it was not his original universe. It was a new version of his original universe, right? Multiverse 2. And so he's always wanted to get back home. That's literally his motivation. He's always wanted to bring his original universe and even the original multiverse back. That's what's happening here, right? What he did is he came to the realization that the Great Darkness is just this astronomical source of energy that exists out there, and if a person can harness it, if a person can use it, they can basically do anything they want to. But the Great Darkness doesn't believe in good or evil. It's not inherently good, it's not inherently evil. The reality is that pretty much everything that is evil in the DC universe originates from the Great Darkness, but the Great Darkness itself is not inherently bad, much in the same way that like the presence in DC Comics, basically their version of God, is not inherently good or evil, but all the good things in the universe originate from it, right? So it's you can kind of make of that what you want to. But the important thing here is that when Pariah realized that was the case, and then realized the main DC universe is the center of the multiverse, basically meaning the most powerful version of the Justice League exists in the main DC universe, his desire was to literally siphon their power. And so that's why over the course of this story, he had captured different members of the Justice League and then placed them in what were basically prison worlds, right? Where he gave them everything they could ever possibly want, because then they wouldn't want to leave. And that because they were there, it would allow Pariah to siphon off all the energy of those individual beings as well as the whole universe, and then channel that energy into the Great Darkness. And so ultimately that happened. And that's why he was able to bring the original multiverse back. That's why he said in the last video, it doesn't matter that you freed the Justice League, think I have everything that I need. I got all the power I needed and my multiverse has returned. Here's the problem, and kind of getting back into the story, this is what Barry Allen starts to realize is, yes, the original multiverse came back, but remember, when it comes to different universes in DC Comics, they all vibrate at different frequencies. It's how Barry Allen is able to travel from one universe to the next, right? If you compare it to like musical notes, the main DC universe vibrates at the key of C, and this other universe vibrates at the key of D. And so if Barry Allen is in the main DC universe and his body naturally vibrates in the key of C, he can actually change his body's vibration to the key of D and then enter into that alternate reality. That's how that works, right? It's like a key for him to enter in and out of any universe that he wants to. But being so well attuned to the vibrational frequencies of different universes, what he realizes is that this multiverse, all these different universes, are vibrating at the wrong speed. And what that basically means is that they're continually speeding up. What this means is that if enough time goes by, because of the fact that these different worlds are vibrating faster and faster, eventually it'll create an explosion. Literally, the multiverse that Pariah brought back will blow up. And when that happens, it'll destroy the existing multiverse with it, right? It'll take them both out. And so the goal is to basically find a way to stop Pariah and then literally get rid of the multiverse that he brought back. Now, a lot of people have asked questions. Are there people on these different worlds? Where's like the original Superman from before Crisis on Infinite Earths? DC doesn't explain that. And the reality is, because it's not necessarily important, this multiverse is seemingly not going to last. Or is it? Because if you guys have been reading the news, DC's basically going to reboot next year. So here's the thing. I know, it's crazy. Here's the thing. So ultimately, we basically jump back to Earth where this massive battle is ensuing between the different superheroes who were here and then Pariah and his dark army. Now, what Pariah realizes when he basically attacks like Firestorm and he attacks like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and these guys and literally teleports them away is he starts to realize that yes, the multiverse is not necessarily balanced, but that's because it doesn't have enough energy. With every single superhero that he attacks and sends to one of these different worlds, it helps to basically balance out the new multiverse that he's created. So literally, that's what he starts doing. He starts attacking superheroes left and right, and he orders Deathstroke, like, attack as many superheroes as you can and send them to basically this new multiverse that I've created, and it'll start to balance everything out, right? Like literally everything that I want to happen will come to fruition. Now it's a race against time. Can the Justice League return in time to stop Pariah from taking out enough superheroes and sending them to this multiverse that he's brought back in order to ensure that that multiverse can be destroyed and Pariah annihilated along with it? And so what you do is you switch over to Jonathan Kent. Now, this is a moment that's really been coming for his character for quite some time, right? So, God, I love this part of the story, right? This is when things get really, really amazing. Check this out. So Jonathan Kent immediately goes after Darkseid. Now, Jonathan's outclassed by this guy, and that's one of the things to know. He hasn't faced off against Darkseid in any meaningful way. He hasn't really even fought like Doomsday in any meaningful way. He's exceedingly capable, but as most of you guys know who have read DC Comics for any measure of time, fighting Darkseid is not like a bar fight, right? You don't just like smash a beer bottle on the countertop and just start pointing it at people. It doesn't work that way, right? Like, you need finesse. You need the ability to understand the full totality of what Darkseid's capable of and be able to adapt accordingly, because he has his Omega beams, right? Even his Omega Sanction, which is DC's plot device when you want to kill off Batman, but not really. So the thing about this is that with Jonathan Kent facing off against Darkseid, he's able to hold his own to a degree, but not permanently. What's even more insane than that is that you do have this attempt, right, by, I can't remember her name anymore, the Brazilian Wonder Woman, right? Not the Diana Troy chick, but like the new young Wonder Woman chick. She literally uses the lasso of truth. That gets thrown around Pariah and he casts it off. Right? He literally breaks the lasso of truth off of himself. Now, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with that, that's not supposed to happen. There have been precious few times in DC Comics when the lasso of truth has been overpowered by anybody. And that's the nature of like Pariah here, right? The lasso of truth has been wrapped around gods who basically were contained by its power. It's an astronomical thing. And so in this fight against Darkseid, ultimately, Jonathan Kent is initially overtaken by what is an attack from a variety of members of the Dark Army, and then he's attacked by Doomsday. And so then you get this amazing moment where Jonathan Kent kind of recollects reflects on these lessons he was taught by his father, right? Where Superman says, I want you to make that S your own one day, son, right? Like, that's going to be your symbol. You're going to become your own version of me. Don't be me, be better than me, right? And then like Lois had told him at one point in time, you have the best of both worlds inside of you. You can be great. You just simply have to choose to be, right? It's Jonathan Kent coming into his own. And for the longest time, that never happened. For the longest time, Jonathan Kent was a kid who was like, I want to be just like my dad. But the truth about this is he's not his dad, right? His dad is Kryptonian. He's the last survivor from a world that was destroyed. His mom is an Earthling. Jonathan has the best of both worlds. He is, by all standards of measurement, everything that his father aspires to be. He can be the best of everything. And so this guy puts up a ridiculous fight. It's like one of the most badass moments ever for Jonathan Kent, son. It's amazing, right? This guy takes on the combined forces of like Darkseid, Doomsday, all these guys. And so what this does is it leads to Mr. Terrific and his guys literally channeling the antimatter projector of Pariah, right? The thing that he initially used to cause the original Crisis on Infinite Earths in the first place, right? Unleashing the anti-monitor, that sort of thing. But this is an antimatter device and it is unique to Pariah, meaning if Pariah can make it, Pariah can be destroyed by it. Let's be honest with ourselves. In the context of this story, this thing's basically the ultimate nullifier for Marvel Comics, but it is one of those things where it's fired by the superheroes and it encases Pariah. And when it does, it disintegrates and it annihilates Pariah. Now, here's a question you have to ask here, right? If Pariah is destroyed this quickly in DC Comics, then what the hell is coming next? Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, he's kind of eradicated pretty quickly. Even with everything that's gone on, it's not some great big huge grandiose fight between Pariah and like the Earth superheroes and it's like the last man standing. It's not even one of those things. They're just like, okay, we got the antimatter projector ready, guys. All right, are we ready? Yeah, fire! Cool, Pariah's dead. Awesome, the day saved. Not really, man, because again, if you guys are reading the news, things are gonna get much, much worse, right? Like it's the story that DC's writing that's coming out is gonna be absolutely insane. But what this did, right, with everything that had happened here, the idea of them even being able to fire off the antimatter projector and destroy Pariah in the first place, that's because Jonathan Kent bought them time. But lest we forget, while Jonathan Kent was able to take out a bunch of members of the Dark Army, Doomsday is still there. Remember, Doomsday always comes back from the thing that killed him. So Jonathan Kent's just there, like, okay, cool, I bought them time. And at this moment, he's proud to make this sacrifice. He's proud to die, right? Black Adam comes racing in out of nowhere, right? He's just like, John, right? He comes racing in to try to save Jonathan Kent. He's whisked away because while Jonathan Kent's just sitting there and is like, I did it, right? I bought them the time they needed. I am exhausted. I'm ready to go. I hope you're proud of me, Dad. He's saying this, watching as Doomsday is hauling ass to him. And as you guys know, man, Doomsday's not a guy to be trifled with, right? Doomsday will kill Jonathan Kent and he won't even think twice about it, right? He's more than powerful enough to do that. So Doomsday comes racing in, right? Doomsday comes in, son, man, let me tell you something, man, it is a ridiculously amazing moment, right? Doomsday comes racing in, Doomsday flying in, right? Doomsday comes in for the killing punch, bam! Superman, bam! Stops that dead in his tracks. I'm like, son, man, Superman popped up at the nick of time. It's like the best moment ever, right? He's just blocking that with his hands. I was like, man, son, I saw this now, guys. I'm sorry, I'm so excited, people. God, I love this so much, man. It's nuts. So at that point, it's like Jonathan and Superman side by side. Doomsday gets, man, this guy gets hit, man, he gets his cheeks clapped. Son, it's, man, it ain't even funny. Man, just getting them cheeks clapped, but that's exactly what it is, right? Like, literally, Jonathan Kent, Superman, they team up. They're like, never again. They destroy Doomsday, send this guy flying, right? And Superman's like, I'm proud of you, son. Like, you are everything that I ever wanted you to be. Like, you have become everything that I ever wanted you to become. Like, you are the superhero that I wanted you to be. This is what I wanted you to become, your own man. I didn't want you to be me. I wanted you to be your own superhero. But here's the kicker, man. Remember, Pariah's gone. Pariah's dead. Pariah's out of the picture. The Justice League shows up. Everybody shows up. The power of the Dark Army is fading momentarily, but then it all starts to come back. And the reason why is because the Great Darkness has chosen a new host. The Great Darkness has officially been corrupted by Pariah now, right? Like, the Great Darkness didn't used to care about good and evil. It never really mattered before, but now it's been corrupted. And now it seemingly wants to destroy everything. The host the Great Darkness has chosen is literally Deathstroke, who is amazing because remember, Deathstroke knows the strengths and weaknesses of every single superhero. I would argue this guy is deadlier than Pariah has ever been. With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. Thank you all for watching. I will catch you all later. Peace.